The Melora Planetary Monitoring Office was scanning Earth's western continent when a thermal anomaly bloomed over California's Klamath National Forest.
An uncontrolled wildfire. That magnitude, the humans below must be fleeing.
Dr. Krell-Vex, the evacuation protocol recommends immediate assistance. Should I prepare a rescue communique?
Do it. Alert the intervention team. Those poor creatures will need everything we can offer.
The orbital cameras focused on the blaze, a red wound spreading across the forest. But then they caught movement above the flames, an aircraft.
An aircraft? At that altitude, in those thermals? What are they doing?
The cargo door slid fully open. A figure in yellow leaned into the smoke column.
He's going to jump into the fire. No species would. No, he's stepping out.
The human fell. A parachute deployed, and he descended deliberately into the heart of the blaze.
Why? Why would they? My hand won't press the key. I can't intervene. I can't look away.
Dr. Krell-Vex, another one. They're all jumping. There must be 20 of them.
23. Parachutes opened in sequence, rectangular canopies snapping taut against the smoke.
Mass suicide. It has to be. No intelligent species does this willingly.
The first jumper hit the charred ground, rolled, and was immediately on his feet, shedding his chute. Within moments, more slammed into the clearing, dust clouds erupting as they landed and stood, scanning the fire.
They're moving. They're not lying down. Why aren't they lying down?
Transmit the intervention order. Why can't I press it? My hand. The protocol is clear.
All 23 were upright, that impossible yellow against the black and orange, and they began walking toward the flame front.
They're not dying, Dr. Krell-Vex. They're organizing, like soldiers.
Soldiers? Against fire? That's not possible. But I can't look away.
Mark yanked the starter cord, and the chainsaw roared, its teeth already spinning.
Reyes, take the Pulaski and start cutting line. Jenkins, unroll the hose.
Reyes swung the Pulaski, blade biting into charred roots, clearing a swath. Jenkins fumbled with the hose coupling, then snapped it into place, water misting from the nozzle.
Clipped tactical commands. Hold. Cut. Watch the flank. These aren't victims, they're a unit.
The humans carved a line through the ash, and the fire answered with a rising roar. The fire front was 150 feet away. Even through the orbital feed, the Melora sensed the heat.
They are cutting a line, a primitive ditch. It will not stop a planetary fire.
They keep cutting, and the fire hasn't crossed that line. The thermal readings, they're changing.
It was not hope. Not yet. But the Melora team stopped trying to intervene and simply watched. The fire hit the cleared line, roared, but did not cross. It clawed at dirt and found nothing.
It stopped. The thermal front. It stalled at the line.
It cannot be that simple. A ditch does not defeat a planetary force.
The fire threw embers across. Humans stomped them out before they could spread.
They're not just surviving. They're controlling it. That is a deliberate fire suppression tactic.
Krell-Vex felt something his training never prepared him for. Respect.
It was not extinguished. Flame devoured timber beyond the break, but it did not advance.
They are fighting it, Doctor. Not fleeing, not sacrificing. Fighting. It's a battle.
They are challenging the fire, as if it were a living thing to be pushed back.
The concept was alien. No species had ever treated wildfire as manageable, but the proof was visible, in yellow, 200 feet from the flames, nightfall. Headlamps flickered as a fire whirl twisted up from the blaze, scattering embers. For a moment, the humans retreated. Then they reformed and advanced with shovels.
They are not natural survivors. This is not instinct. This is ceremonial. A trial of fools.
No, Doctor. They have patterns. The one called Mark gave an order, and they all shifted. Tactics.
Tactics against fire? Only a species that ritualizes combat would attempt it. Perhaps they seek honor.
The fire whirl collapsed. The line held. The crew swapped roles, and the digging resumed. Mark's voice, hard and steady, cut through the static. Hold the line. Do not let it cross.
There, a command. He names the objective. This is not a ritual, it's an operation. It's been 12 hours. The fire still burns, but the line still holds. I need rest, Doctor.
This is not military, not civilian. This is something unclassified, and it terrifies me far more than the flames.
Dawn broke gray and quiet. The fire still smoldered, but its hunger was gone. The humans moved through the smoking trees, spraying water and kicking apart hot ash. Reyes clapped Jenkins on the back. Their soot-blackened faces split into tired grins.
Doctor, the translator isolated a word from the chatter. Smoke jumper, the Earth database defines it. A wildland firefighter who parachutes into remote areas.
Krell Vex's hand froze over the console. A wildland firefighter. An occupation, not a suicide cult.
A full database query. Now, I want every mention of that word.
The records flooded in. Training bases, historical deployments, legislative framework. Humans had been doing this for over 7 decades.
They have a word for it. They train for it. This is not an anomaly. It's a tradition.
There are thousands of them, Doctor. Certified, experienced. They do this every fire season.
If this is common, then their danger threshold is incalculable. The compact must be warned.
Mark's voice cut across the planetary monitoring network. Full containment achieved. All personnel safe. The smoke jumpers slumped against a scorched boulder, helmets off, soot-caked skin cracking as they grinned, passing water canteens and trading exhausted laughter.
We must report this, Doctor. The compact will want a full analysis.
And if we report this, the compact will see a species that hurls itself into planetary fire. They will deem humans irrational predators, a danger that must be contained.
Good job, everyone. Crash out. Same time next fire.
Same time, next fire. They treat this horror as a maintenance schedule.
The observation deck fell into a silence heavier than any alarm.
They've normalized jumping into flames. It's not a crisis to them. It's a routine.
If I submit this, it could justify preemptive containment protocols against Earth. But if I suppress it, I violate the transparency oath.
He opened a blank report template. The cursor pulsed like a second heartbeat. He did not press a single key. Krell Vex typed a title, deleted it. Typed a classification prefix, deleted it. The cursor kept blinking.
Doctor, you haven't slept and you've drafted nothing. Here, drink this. Then just write the truth.
Cultural anomaly? Number. Military exercise? Number. They are not soldiers, and they are not soldiers, and they are not insane. They are something our protocols cannot name.
Devani placed a steaming cup beside his trembling hand. He took a sip and set it down.
The humans maintain a volunteer cadre that intentionally enters uncontrolled combustion zones, using gravitational descent devices. I wrote it. It's absurd, but it is the truth. Devani, compile all data from this event. Biometrics, tactics, equipment analysis, every frame.
The data crystallized onto the screen. 23 humans, 18 hours, 0 casualties. The paradox of a disaster that harmed no one. He stamped the highest initial classification. The seal glowed red, then cooled to black.
The report is ready. Earth maintains a volunteer cadre that jumps into fires. Now only the transmission remains.
His finger hovered over the send key. The truth he'd written was so improbable, it read like fiction. He pressed the key. The report compressed into a tight beam burst and vanished into the galactic relay. 4 minutes later, the first query arrived. Verify sensor integrity. This reading is inconsistent with any known life preservation behavior. They called it a telemetry error, then a hoax, then a potential first contact violation.
They're demanding full visual evidence. They think it's a fabrication.
Krell Vex transmitted the entire 18-hour orbital recording without a word. A full cycle passed. No response. The observation deck hummed in quiet dread. When the reply came, it was 3 words. Stand by. Cease Earth contact. No explanation, no timeline.
If they quarantine Earth, the procedural cascade could be irreversible. I may have just doomed an entire species.
Doctor, we could not suppress this. The compact deserved to know. You did your duty.
He stared at the blank screen, where the next reply should have been, the weight of interstellar silence pressing on his lungs. 3 cycles later, the compact summoned Krell Vex to an emergency closed session. His report had escalated beyond rational protocols. The chamber held 27 species, a crescent of blinking eyes and shifting limbs. They had watched the footage an insectoid counselor projected. If they can control fire with their bodies, what else are they capable of?
They protect their habitat. It is not aggression. It is a civil defense commitment we have never seen.
Silence, then a low murmur. His words did not comfort them, but they did not condemn either. The vote was nearly unanimous. Classify at highest tier. Establish permanent observation post over Boise.
Study, not fear. It was the best outcome I could have hoped for. And yet it feels incomplete.
The classification seal glowed crimson, then cooled to obsidian. The report was now a secret that would shape policy for generations. When Krell Vex returned to the observation deck, Tivani was waiting. He simply nodded, and she understood. The compact's decree meant the smoke jumpers would be watched, not warned. The galaxy would learn from their example, but Earth would never know. 5 years. The Boise observation post had tracked 43 fire seasons. The data had ceased to terrify. The paper, once classified at the highest tier, was now an internal Melora training manual, retitled Human Smoke Jumper Tactics, Endurance and Adaptability in Extreme Combustion.
Human smoke jumpers display emotional resilience and physical endurance beyond all known metrics. That is the addendum I just transmitted.
In a classroom, orbiting a distant star, a tentacled cadet raised a limb and asked, how do they maintain cardiac stability at those temperatures? The instructor, an insectoid with a clicking jaw, displayed the human lung diagram and answered, unknown. We are studying it now. From the Boise Post, Krell Vex watched a new class of recruits in orange jumpsuits stumble through landing drills under the Idaho sun.
They still fall, they still rise. The cycle repeats, and it is the most exquisite thing I have ever witnessed.
The fear of the early cycles had calcified into something else. Not indifference, but a quiet, persistent admiration.
We came to monitor a catastrophe. We stayed to witness a miracle that repeats itself every fire season.
In the vaults of the Melora Compact, the original report gathered no dust, its words still as shocking as when first transmitted. Earth maintains a volunteer cadre that jumps into fires. More than a decade after the observation post went live, a local historian in a small Idaho town set up a recorder in front of an aging mark. The interviewer leaned forward and asked if he'd ever encountered anything unusual during his career.
Unusual? Nothing comes to mind. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. Just routine calls. You jump, you dig, you come home.
In the Boise Post, Tivani typed into the observation log. Tivani's log entry. Subject Mark remains unaware of our presence. This compartmentalization is a human trait we must study further. Krell Vex, listening, allowed himself a rare, small smile.
They have no idea they are being watched. And that indifference is why we keep watching.
Don't need it. I remember what's important.
He left for the training field, where another class of rookies was waiting to be taught how to fall. That evening, Krell Vex opened the archived report and added a personal addendum at the bottom. The addendum read, "The most remarkable aspect is not that humans jump into fires, but that they consider it unremarkable."
Tivani, I am submitting a proposal to the Compact. When the next generation graduates, we should send a token of respect.
The Compact's reply came within 2 cycles. Approved. A small polished stone, inscribed, to be delivered at the graduation ceremony. Krell Vex set a calendar reminder for the Earth. Year 2032, when the trainee designated Patrick would complete his certification.
Doctor, They will never understand why we sent it.
That is precisely why we must send it. Their ignorance of their own legend is the legend itself.
The stone was prepared, polished obsidian with a gold inlay of a parachute, and a single flame, and an inscription in 2 scripts.
They'll probably just think it's a strange rock from a grateful citizen.
That would be the most human reaction of all.
2032. On the Boise training field, Mark stood beside a younger man fumbling with the straps of his parachute. Patrick, his newest trainee, was trying very hard not to look afraid.
Does the fear ever go away?
Number. But you learn to pack it down. It's not about being fearless. It's about being useful.
Inside the Twin Otter, the red jump light glowed steady. Patrick stared at the open door, the wind roaring past.
Remember, the fire doesn't care how you feel. You just do the next thing. Grab the line. Jump.
Just do the next thing. The fire doesn't care. Go.
He stepped out. The world became noise and speed, the wind screaming through his helmet. The parachute snapped open, jolting him upright. Below, the training field waited. He hit the ground in a controlled tumble, dust kicking up around him. Mark landed seconds later, strolled over, and clapped him on the shoulder.
Not bad. You'll do.
Graduation day came with a bright Idaho sun and a small crowd of smoke jumpers and their families. Mark pinned the winged axe onto Patrick's chest.
Out there, you'll be alone with a fire and your team. That's all that matters.
In the Boise observation post, Krell, Vex, and Tivani watched through a razor-sharp orbital feed. The moment they had waited for had arrived.
The drone is in position. On your command.
Now, let them know they are not alone.
An invisible courier drone descended silently above the gathering, placing a small package on the grass near Reyes's boot. No humans saw it arrive. Mark bent down, frowning. He turned the black box over in his soot-stained hands. Alien script glinted in the sun. He looked up at the empty sky.
It's for you.
On the Melora monitors, a single green indicator blinked once, delivery confirmed. The observation post fell silent.
What is this? I can't read it. Why me?
That night, alone in his bunk, Patrick lifted the lid. Inside lay a polished black stone, cool to the touch, with a gold inlay of a parachute and a flame. He turned it over. The inscription read in 2 languages. For those who jump toward the fire, from those who watch in admiration. Beneath the stone was a small note, written in careful English and precise alien script. It spoke of a silent observation, a debt of gratitude, and a promise to never interfere. The note continued. We have watched you for decades. You have taught us what it means to protect without fear. This stone is a token from the Melora Compact. You are never alone.
Decades. They watched my training, my first jump. They saw everything.
The room was silent. He sat for a long time, the stone in one hand, the note in the other, the weight of 100 fire seasons settling on his shoulders.
I am not just a smoke jumper. I am a link between worlds.
He walked to the window and looked up at the night sky, the stars impossibly clear. Somewhere up there, others were watching.
Thank you.
He set the stone on his nightstand, beside his new badge, and turned off the lamp. The darkness felt a little less empty. 2 weeks after graduation, Mark found Patrick alone in the ready room. The polished stone sat on the bench beside his folded gear. Mark picked it up without asking, his thumb tracing the gold flame. He read the inscription twice, his face unreadable.
You figure out where this came from.
Aliens. They've been watching us for decades. The note says we taught them something.
Patrick handed over the note, his hand steady. Mark took it, read it slowly, and folded it with care. Then he laughed, a low, familiar rumble that filled the small room.
I always wondered why my chute smelled like ozone. Now I know. Guess I never minded because it felt like company. When you've done it long enough, you feel things. I just figured the wind was talking back. Doesn't change a thing. Fire still burns. We still jump. That's all that matters.
He handed the stone back, clapped Patrick's shoulder, and headed for the door. Briefing in 10. And bring your good luck charm. The Melora Compact released its final statement on Project Echo Earth. The chamber, filled with species from 100 worlds, fell silent as the decree was read. The statement read, "The observation has been a success. Human smoke jumper tactics are now the galactic standard for extreme environment fire suppression. Across the galaxy, training simulators were reprogrammed with parachute deployment sequences and Pulaski swing angles." A cadet on a methane world asked, "What is the significance of the black stone?" The instructor replied, "It is a reminder that we are not alone in the fire." Carol Vex, retired in a quiet habitation dome, watched the announcement on a small screen. His old hands rested motionless on his lap.
It is finished. The fire jumpers are legend.
He lifted a small replica of the polished black stone, its gold inlay catching the light, and then, for the first time in decades, he closed his eyes without a flicker of doubt. Outside his window, a distant speck of light blinked steadily. The Boise observation post, still watching, still learning. Smoke rose from a distant forest below, and a yellow speck, a human, drifted down toward it. The cycle continued. On Earth, the Smoke Jumper program recorded its highest recruitment numbers in decades. A local news segment interviewed a veteran who laughed and said, "The sky's been calling louder this year." The clip went viral among the smoke jumper community. An inside joke none of them fully understood. In a quiet neighborhood, Mark, now far older, eased himself onto his front porch. He tilted his head back, watching a contrail fade in the blue. Then he raised one hand and gave a small, deliberate wave. He had no proof the gesture was seen, but he felt the weight of a presence older than memory. In the Boise observation post, a trainee alien cadet leaned toward the instructor as the feed showed Mark's wave. The cadet asked, "Do you think they know we're watching?" The instructor replied, "Some do. Most don't care. That's why we study them." The earth turned below, a wildfire still burning, a dot of yellow still falling. The observation post continued its silent, eternal watch. Years later, Patrick led his own crew over a Montana blaze, the polished stone warm against his chest.
Good luck charm. Always has been.
Then he stepped into the smoke, his team following, the same yellow against the same orange. Canopies snapped open one by one, floating down through the ash toward the fire line. In the Boise post, the young Melora cadet watched the feed, unblinking. The same image that had once paralyzed Krell Vex. Now it was routine, a classroom example of species-level grit. The cadet's instructor placed a three-fingered hand on their shoulder, and so they go, again and again. We do not interfere. We only record and learn. Patrick's boots hit charred ground. He slapped the dust off, touched the stone, and reached for his Pulaski. The fire didn't care about his history, and neither did he. The work was the only thing that mattered. Years passed. The observation post had become a silent, expected fixture in Earth's sky. On a dusty training field, an older Patrick stood beside a new recruit, a young man with nervous hands.
We're not alone, but it's not about them. It's about the fire.
He placed the polished black stone into the rookie's hands. The recruit read the worn inscription. "For those who jump toward the fire, from those who watch in admiration."
It's a tradition, passed down since I stood where you are. Now it's yours.
The recruit slipped it into his pocket and looked up at the sky, not fully understanding, but trusting the weight. In the Boise Post, the officer on duty logged, "Stone transfer observed. Lineage continues." The observation continued, as it always would. On the field, the recruit adjusted his helmet. The next jump was waiting. On a methane world, a firefighter stepped from an aircraft, a parachute opening above a flash fire. The tactic was learned from Earth. A Melora cadet pinned on a badge, shaped like a tiny parachute. The first class of off-world human fire instructors graduated. On Earth, a fresh class of rookies lined the aircraft door. Yellow against smoke, the cycle never broke. In the Boise Post, the original polished black stone rested in a transparent case. A plaque read, "On loan from Earth." A young officer reached out and touched the glass with 3 fingers. "Stay safe," she whispered. The observation satellite blinked its steady green light, its sensors trained on the blue world below. Below, a wildfire sent smoke upward. A tiny dot, an aircraft, appeared above the flames. The observer and the observed, separated by vacuum, bound by fire, and from the open door of that distant aircraft, a small yellow shape stepped out into the smoke, falling toward the fire. A routine call. Someone had to do it.